What if I told you there is an event already written in the secret diaries of a Polish saint nearly a century ago that every single human being on the face of the earth will experience at the same time? It doesn't matter whether you're a believer or an atheist, whether you live in a metropolis or in a remote village. Saint Faustina Kowalska, the Secretary of Divine Mercy, received a vision that science would call impossible, but faith calls the Illumination of Conscience. A gigantic cross appearing in the sky, the sun darkening, and a supernatural silence covering the planet. What you're about to hear is not just a mystic story. It is a precise warning for the times we are living in, especially now that we are in the heart of Lent. Stay with me until the end, because we will analyze the details of what will happen to your soul in that exact instant, and how a scientific piece of evidence connected to the image of Jesus confirms that all of this is real. The time of mercy is about to give way to the time of justice. Are you ready to see yourself as God sees you? Why should we believe Sister Faustina? In 1931, in a Poland on the edge of collapse, this young woman begins to receive messages from a voice identifying itself as Jesus Christ. She was not a theologian, she was almost illiterate, and yet her diaries contain a depth that has left the greatest scholars astonished. Jesus calls her his secretary. The message is clear. Humanity will not have peace until it turns to divine mercy. But there is one condition. This appeal will not last forever. We are in the heart of Lent, a time of reflection, and Faustina's words resonate today with unprecedented urgency. Jesus told her clearly, "Before I come as the just judge, I first open wide the door of my mercy. He who refuses to pass through the door of my mercy must pass through the door of my justice." This is not a threat, but a spiritual law, documented in paragraph 1146 of her diary. So, what exactly will we see? In paragraph 83, Faustina describes the great sign. She does not speak of a symbolic event, but of a global physical phenomenon. All the light in the sky will be extinguished, and there will be great darkness over the whole earth. Then the sign of the cross will appear in the sky. Let's analyze the scientific detail. Faustina says that from the openings of Jesus' wounds will come rays of light that will illuminate the earth for some time. This event precedes the Lord's return by a short while. It is a moment in which cosmic time seems suspended. Science often speaks of solar anomalies or atmospheric darkening, but Faustina describes something supernatural, something meant to prepare the soul. This Lent, we must ask ourselves, if the sun went out today, would we be ready to meet that light? Now we enter the realm of evidence that makes this story incredible. In 1934, Faustina had the first image of Jesus of Divine Mercy painted by the artist Eugeniusz Kazimierowski. She cried constantly because the painter could not capture Jesus' beauty. And yet that painting hid a secret discovered only decades later through digital technology. Scientists and forensic experts overlapped the face from the Vilnius painting, made under Faustina's direction, with the Holy Shroud of Turin. The shroud, let us remember, is considered an akeiropoietos, meaning not made by human hands. It is an image impressed on linen by a phenomenon science cannot reproduce, similar to an instantaneous burst of radiation. The result of the overlay is shocking. The distance between the eyes, the shape of the nasal bridge, the position of the mouth, and the structure of the cheekbones match 100%. How could a Polish nun and a painter in the 1930s reproduce the exact proportions of the man of the shroud without ever seeing it or analyzing it? This is proof that Faustina was truly seeing the historical Christ. But what will happen inside us when we see that cross? Many mystics, including Faustina, speak of a little judgment. In an instant of absolute silence, every human being will see the state of their soul as God sees it. You will see every sin, every omission, but also every act of love. It is an event of extreme purification. It is not punishment. it is medicine. God shows us the truth about ourselves because there is still time to change. Lent is exactly this, a voluntary anticipation of that illumination. If we make an honest examination of conscience today, the shock of the warning tomorrow will be far less painful. Faustina writes that seeing one's own soul can be so intense that a person would want to die from the pain of sins committed, but the awareness of mercy will be what keeps us alive. In the image of divine mercy, two rays come forth from Jesus' chest, one red and one pale. Jesus explained to Faustina that they represent the blood and water that flowed from his side on the cross. The red ray is the life of souls, the Eucharist. The pale ray is the water that justifies souls, baptism and confession. In Lent, we meditate on the Passion. Medical science that has studied the miracle of Lanciano and the Shroud confirms that from the heart of a man who died from violent trauma, serum, water, and blood can flow separately. Faustina, without medical knowledge, records this fundamental theological and physiological detail. Those rays are the last anchor of salvation for humanity. Whoever takes refuge in those rays will have nothing to fear when the cross appears in the sky. To give even more credibility to Faustina's words, we must remember that for nearly 20 years, from 1959 to 1978, the Vatican forbade the spread of Faustina's message due to mistranslations that made the text seem theologically suspicious. It seemed like the end of a mission. But God has his times. It was a young Archbishop of Krakow, Karol Wojtyła, the future John Paul II, who reopened the case and had the diary studied correctly. The Church, after extremely rigorous examinations, declared that there is nothing contrary to the faith. On the contrary, it is the most important message for our millennium. If it had been a human fabrication, it would have vanished during those years of censorship. Instead, it exploded across the world. Jesus asked Faustina to venerate the hour of his death, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. At that hour I will refuse nothing to the soul that asks me by my passion. During Lent, we are called to stand beneath the cross. Faustina's prophecies are not meant to terrify, but to awaken. We live as if we have all the time in the world, but the signs she described, weakening faith, hatred among peoples, distancing from the sacraments, are before our eyes. The great cross in the sky will be the final act of love before justice. Do not wait for that day to fall to your knees. Do it now, in this Lent. Confession is the place where you meet today, that light you will see tomorrow in the sky. The message of Saint Faustina is a compass for dark times. The coincidence between her vision and the Holy Shroud reminds us that our faith is not based on fairy tales, but on the real presence of a person, Jesus Christ. The great cross will appear. It is only a matter of time. How do you want to be found on that day? I hope this journey through Faustina's diaries and the evidence of the Shroud has helped you understand the importance of the time we are living in. Lent is the moment for the definitive yes. To testify to your faith and your belonging to this path, write in the comments the phrase of Saint Faustina, "Jesus, I trust in you." Subscribe to the channel to keep discovering the evidence and the prophecies that confirm our faith. Share this video. It could be an instrument of divine mercy to save a soul in this Lent. God bless all of us.